I recently got a long-awaited upgrade of my hi-fi and home cinema space. That's why I've decided to also upgrade the look of my speakers. I've been quite happy with my DIY Dolby Atmos kit of 7 identical coaxial speakers plus 2 subwoofers, but they didn't look very nice. I have recorded 2 different videos. One shows the veneering of the 7 small speakers. Another video shows building new subwoofer cabinets and veneering them. This video is about the 7 small speakers. This is how I've been using the speakers now for a couple of years. This is one of the rear speakers. So it's covered in this acoustic fabric, so the quality of the wood finish doesn't really matter. And it's the same fabric I've had in the acoustic panels, such as this large one behind my listening spot. So here's the center speaker. I have 7 of these speakers in the small room in a Dolby Atmos configuration. The speaker is based on Samu Saurama's design released in a Finnish online publication audiovideo.fi. It is made of a custom Seas Coaxial driver and a simple crossover. It can be built in a cube ported box or the slim sealed box for cinema use. And right now the front speakers behind the kefs are in larger boxes. I tried them for music as well, but it didn't really work so well, so I've moved them back to small boxes for cinema only use. This is one of the front speaker boxes not in use at the moment. It's covered in this vinyl film, so the front kind of looks alright. Of course it's a bit plastic look of the film, but the sides, you can easily see the edges of the MDF, so that's something I need to try to fix before applying the veneers. Now I'm in the garage with the speaker cabinets, so I need to take these apart, rip the film off, see what's the state of the MDF underneath, and then also just take most of the stuff away from inside, because I need to get these binding posts away as well. So this is the part that it's not very enjoyable. These 2 cabinets out of the 7 I have OSB rear panel instead of MDF. That's because these were the first larger ported cabinets and I converted to sealed later, and the only thing I had was OSB. Okay, let's take the film off then. It's a lot easier to remove the film when warming up with a hair dryer. I got the film off and now I'm just gonna give it a quick sanding to get the glue residuals off, because it's quite sticky, and then I will start working on the wood surface. Now I'm applying shellac to seal the MDF and all the surfaces. Never used this before. It's thinner than I expected it to be. The wood also absorbs it quickly. I have the PSA Veneer here. It's a huge piece. It's 60 centimeters by 2 meters. So I'm just gonna cut it in a little bit smaller pieces, that it's easier to handle. I don't know how they do this stuff, but it kind of looks like there's some repeating patterns here, but it is real wood, so I don't know how it's been cut. My speakers are 28 centimeters per side, so I'll just cut this to 29. Is thin, so it's probably quite easy to cut with utility knife, except that it didn't go through yet, so just need to cut it again. Okay, this is the first time I've purchased or holding any veneer. It's interesting. It's so thin, but it's real wood. You can see the grain. Okay, now I cut the veneer to the sides, front, back, and they go 5 millimeters over each edge, and it's easy to cut with the utility knife. Just be careful when you cut the direction of the grain, that the knife goes a bit wherever it wants to go. I will start applying the veneer, so I'm gonna do 2 sides at a time and then trim the edges with the router. In hindsight, you should really place the veneer in a way that the edges of the top and front veneer are not visible. So you first need to put it in place and then apply more pressure. This is a PSA veneer, where PSA stands for pressure sensitive adhesive or something like that. And it means that you need to put a lot of pressure for the glue bond to form. So I'm using a veneer scraper as suggested by the veneer hub I got this from. It basically has a blunt blade, so you apply a lot of pressure in a small area. It feels in a way a bit kind of scary because this is almost like a blade, but it doesn't seem to damage the grain or the surface. You do need to go along the grain. I do press it here quite a lot harder than it looks like, and later on I also managed to press it with both hands. I'll leave it for a little while and then I'm gonna trim the edges. The instructions say to use a utility knife, but I'm using a router as I have one. It's a big router, but you need 2 hands to operate, unlike a trim router, so it's a bit awkward to use for this, but I'll try it anyway. If I was making the cabinets now, I would first veneer and then cut the hole with the router, because then it's a lot easier. You get the hole in the veneer and the MDF at the same time. When trimming, you just go along the edges of the cabinet with the router. The router bit has a bearing in it and it just follows the wood and trims the veneer. And now you may be asking if the glue on the veneer is gonna do something here. And the answer is yes. You do see this kind of ugly glue residuals here, but it's quite easy to scrape off. Also, it doesn't cut the edges across the grain very cleanly. You get this kind of like a fluffy edge here, but it's luckily it's very easy to get it off with sandpaper. And as you can expect, the glue also gets stuck here in the router bit. So I'm cleaning this every now and then with alcohol. Now I have the speaker fully veneered. Then next I need to still get the flush mount. I tried to use a rabbet bit here with adjustable bearing to make the flush mount, but it didn't really work out. So for this it needs to be very accurately the same distance from the middle to the plate, and also the inner ring which follows, it needs to be very smooth. So basically just cut too much or too little, and I needed to fix it with knife and sandpaper and a wood filler. One thing I'm also a little bit worried about are the edges. So the glue is visible here as a kind of white line around the edges, so I hope it goes away when I sand and finish it. If not, then maybe next speaker I need to try to trim the veneer with a utility knife, in case the router kind of smudges the glue to make it more visible. This is how the edges look like now after scraping the adhesive a bit with knife and sanding. So it's still a little bit visible there, the white line, but it looks a lot better now, and hopefully after finishing it's okay. I did take a small test bit. I put the veneer and you don't really see the glue here, so I think it's something to do with my router now when I trimmed the veneer. So for the next speaker I will actually trim it with knife and see how it is. I have now applied Osmo oil on one of the speakers. You can see the nice darker tones, the grain becomes more visible. The edges look quite good as well. And here's the other one, so you can see the difference in the darkness of the tones. And this is the other speaker. I used the router rabbit bit to cut the flush mount on the veneer, but it cut a little bit too much. It didn't really work because this inner MDF ring is a bit too soft and not even, so hope I can save it with some wood filler. The filler did work quite well. You can see slight dark edges there, but it's definitely good enough. This is how the rest of the 5 speakers look like, so this is just MDF. This is a third speaker, and now I'm trimming the veneer with knife instead of router. Going along the grain is kinda easy, but across the grain is more tricky. It's cleaner cut because there's less of the glue visible, but at the same time I've accidentally cut a little bit of the side veneer in some of the edges, so yeah, none of it will be visible after sanding and finishing, but I cannot decide which one I actually prefer, a knife or the router. Status update after working a long day on this. I've been having quite a lot more problems now with the router. Like, I don't know what happened here. It kind of cut something a bit. I hope I can sand it away. But I have a lot of the mess here because of the adhesive layer. It's just thick glue everywhere. It's quite a lot of work to tidy all this. Should I have tried to trim with a knife? I really don't know. Now the edges are tidied and they're sanded, so they do look quite good. Yeah, you don't see that much of the glue lines anymore, and I bet it's even less when it's still a little bit like you want to put the veneers in a kind of order where the edges are the least visible. And yeah, we're not talking about professional quality things here. There are some small splits and pieces missing, and yeah, it happens, especially when you do it for the first time. Then it's time to put it all together. I have the crossovers here built on a Vero boards, and I've got the drivers here, and then are the rear panels. The crossover is simple, with just one inductor, 2 capacitors and 1 resistor. Because I do PCBs and I need 7 of these crossovers, it would have made sense to make a nice custom PCB, but I realized a bit too late and didn't have any other boards to order, so I just used the Vero board. One thing you may wonder is that, okay, is the resistance of the traces here too high? So if you worry about that, you can do what I've done here, just add some tin on the traces. To be honest, I don't think it makes a huge difference. The resistance of copper is also lower than tin. By the way, although this cable looks like a lamp cable, it is a speaker cable that came with the speaker kits. Not that lamp cable would be any different, to be honest. I use these plastic panels for binding posts. They're not the prettiest, but they were provided with when I bought the speakers as kits. And the good thing with this one is that when you put them close to the wall, yeah, they don't stick out. 2 front speakers had these binding posts, so I just used the same because I didn't change any of the holes. This is the driver, so this is based on a standard sales catalog Coaxial driver, but this is a custom model made for a Finnish company who used to sell it for DIY kits. It was quite popular. Unfortunately, the company closed down, so you cannot get this anymore. I think some
commercial speaker manufacturers in Finland used at least almost the same driver, maybe exactly the same. It was quite popular, and I think it's quite well behaving. You can use a simple crossover with it. Coaxial driver fits really well for home theater applications. In a small room like mine, it's a point source, and so you don't really need to mind too much how you put the speakers on the ceiling or roof or wherever you want to put them. The orientation doesn't matter so much. If it's a lot off axis, of course, it changes a bit, but then again, it doesn't really matter that much, and I'm gonna run Odyssey calibration anyway, so if there's something badly off, it will correct it. Binding posts are screwed on the back. I have screwed the crossover on the bottom of the speaker inside. The next step is to put some wool inside. I think this is polyester wool meant for speakers. I use this sealing tape thin foam tape here around the driver edge. This is from Amazon, but you can get them from places that sell DIY speaker stuff. Then to solder the wires to the driver, and you can really make this easier by having the wires a little bit longer. This is a bit tricky now. And the final thing is to find some nice looking screws because they will be visible, so I use these hex head wood screws. I will put these speaker grills on two of the speakers that will be the rear surrounds, because the room will be also used as a guest room, and this is the area where we will have guest beds on the floor, so just to protect them a little bit if there are kids, for example, staying with us. I have always been happy with the sound of these speakers, but now I'm also quite happy with how they look like. They fit nicely in my new room, and when filming this I've only had the room for a few days, so there's still plenty of things to do to make it look a bit nicer and cozier. They are certainly not perfect, but the best I've ever done by miles. I hope the veneer and finish last for a long time, that I can keep these speakers for years to come. I'm not too keen on experimenting with cinema setup. It's more like getting it working, and then I can just enjoy the results, and then the music stereo setup is where I want to experiment and try different things. Thank you for watching, and please check the other video on the subwoofer build.